Have you ever experienced a moment that transformed everything? A fleeting instant that unraveled your whole existence? Mine took place on a beach, leaving a lasting impression that I can never erase. This is my story. It is said that certain moments stick with you like shadows, silently haunting you. 2 years have gone by since that day. 2 years since my life changed completely. What was supposed to be a simple day at the beach with my son, Leonard, turned into something entirely unexpected. My husband, Phoenix, had work commitments as usual, and I was used to facing such moments on my own. However, on that day, something felt different, both then and now. We laid our towels under the warm sun, and I finally felt a sense of relief from the chaos of life. I turned to Leonard and asked him to put some oil on my back. It seemed innocent enough. After all, he was my son, my boy. Initially, it was just a light touch, but then I felt his hand sliding lower and lower. I didn't stop him. Why didn't I intervene? You think you know yourself and your family, yet there's always a pivotal moment that can unravel everything. For me, that moment occurred on that beach, and I have never been the same since. Phoenix and I had been married for over 15 years, and from the outside, we seemed to be the perfect couple. Comfortable home, lovely children, and a stable life. But within our walls, the fractures had been hidden for years. Phoenix's job consumed him, taking him away for late nights, weekends, and holidays. I reassured myself that he was putting in a lot of effort for our family, but eventually that story unraveled. What value does a home have if no one is there to enjoy it? I felt unseen whenever he came home. He barely acknowledged me. He stopped asking about my day, my wishes, or my needs. Our discussions had shrunk to trivial subjects like bills, groceries, and the kids. Although he cherished Leonard and his little sister Isa, he was physically there yet emotionally distant. I often found myself sitting at the dinner table, questioning if he even noticed my presence anymore. That morning, as Phoenix hurried out the door, he mumbled an apology. "Sorry, Freya, I can't make it today. Something urgent has come up at work." I didn't protest. It had become a routine. I suppressed my disappointment, convincing myself that I would be fine with just Leonard. Back then, he was 16, tall and slender, with his father's brown eyes but a kinder disposition. When I mentioned it would only be the two of us, he shrugged, gathered his things, and silently followed me to the car. The ride to the beach felt lengthy and uneventful, my thoughts wandering back to Phoenix. I reminisced about our past movie nights, spontaneous getaways, and the spark in his eyes when he looked at me. I hadn't felt that warmth in years, and I was so tired of being overlooked. Once we reached the beach, Leonard helped set up near the water. As I reclined on my towel, I realized how desperately I yearned for connection. "Isn't it nice to be outside?" I tried to sound cheerful, but he simply nodded, his gaze drifting away. After a while, I recalled the oil. I turned to Leonard and asked him to assist with my back. He hesitated before grabbing the bottle, and I laid back down. His touch was gentle, reminiscent of his younger days. But it soon changed. My breath caught as I felt his hands move lower, and my thoughts raced. I wanted to say something, but found myself unable to speak. I convinced myself it was just innocent assistance, but deep inside I understood it wasn't. "It's fine. You can rub there too," I said, my words tinged with something I couldn't fully grasp. A decision I regretted the instant it left my mouth. Leonard didn't reply, but he also didn't stop. I squeezed my eyes shut, struggling with the heaviness of what was unfolding as his hands lingered. I felt both fear and a peculiar yearning, an emptiness I couldn't express. I let it happen. Perhaps it was the solitude. Perhaps a desire for validation. Or maybe I had simply stopped caring. If you've stayed with me this long, thank you. I recognize this is a difficult subject, and your willingness to listen means a great deal. If my story resonates with you, or you think someone else might relate, please like and subscribe to help me keep sharing my experiences. After that day at the beach, I was transformed. Leonard's gaze changed, each look heavier with an indescribable burden. I tried to push it aside. Back home, I kept up appearances, cooking and folding laundry, all while replaying that moment in my mind and resenting myself for feeling this way. This way about my son. Phoenix returned home late once more, giving a lifeless kiss. His presence felt like little more than a shadow of what it used to be. That night, under the same roof, I lay awake, consumed by thoughts of Leonard and that morning at the beach. It felt wrong, yet I couldn't shake the sensation of being wanted. Days went by, and I noticed Leonard coming closer, his quiet moments of lingering glances becoming more common. Then another weekend arrived. It was oppressively hot, and with Phoenix away again, I suggested we go to the beach once more. Part of me hoped that perhaps the fresh air would lift the heaviness that hung between us. The drive was silent, and once we arrived at the beach, we set up without any issues. I didn't ask him for oil. Instead, we simply tried to keep things feeling normal. However, I could sense him watching me, and my anxiety grew. Later that afternoon, we decided to wash off in the beach showers. I stepped under the water after him, a sudden burst of courage washing over me. I tossed aside my outer clothing, encouraging him to rinse off properly. When he hesitated, I felt an urge to push further. "You should take off your shorts too," I said, unsure why I uttered those words. I was partly testing the waters, perhaps daring him to come closer. And he did. Just like before, we found ourselves intertwined under the flow of water, washing away dirt yet unable to cleanse our emotions. I leaned back against him, seeking assistance with my back and guiding his hands, crossing an unspoken boundary. What followed was a whirlwind of desire, a high-stakes connection amidst the wrongness. When it concluded, we stood in silence, water flowing around us, but I could sense the truth lurking beneath the surface. During the drive home, the silence felt heavy. Leonard finally shattered it, cautiously inquiring about what had just happened, but I couldn't respond. It was no longer just a simple, "I don't know." The reality was much more intricate. Once we arrived home, we remained in the car, the weight of the atmosphere tangible. He looked at me, revealing a yearning that I felt too, but I was unsure how to address it. I whispered, perhaps longer than I wanted to acknowledge, in that darkness, vulnerability tangled between us. As the moment unfolded, he leaned in and kissed me, igniting the repressed tension. I felt seen again, alive in every way that had escaped me for years. I didn't care about the repercussions. The days that followed blurred into one another. Leonard seized every chance to draw nearer, a constant magnetic pull. As I lay next to Phoenix, thoughts of Leonard consumed me, reminding me of the passion I had lost. Everything shifted one night after Phoenix left for work. Alone in the kitchen, Leonard stepped closer, invading my space. "Mum," he whispered, "I can't stop thinking about you." My resolve weakened, and I confessed, I can't stop either. That moment shattered everything. Leonard kissed me deeply, and I surrendered to the feelings I had long denied. In those moments, nothing else mattered. Neither Phoenix, nor Issa, nor the lives we had built since. That day, nothing returned to normal. We crossed a boundary that leaves a heavy burden of guilt and confusion. Each glance from Leonard makes me painfully aware of what we've done. With lingering uncertainties echoing in my mind, I observe my husband and daughter daily, questioning how they remain oblivious to the issues within our family unit. Perhaps they are too caught up in their own lives, blind to my silent battles. I realize this cannot go on forever. Secrets have a tendency to emerge, and when they do, the consequences will be devastating. The guilt constrains me, but so does the secret excitement flowing through my veins. Leonard is the one person who makes me feel truly alive. I share my experience today in hopes of finding understanding or maybe advice. If you have faced a similar situation or have any insights, please reach out. As I conclude my story, I want to ask you, have you ever found yourself crossing a line you never thought you would? What would you do if you were in my position? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget, if you found my story engaging, please like this video, share it with others who might benefit from hearing it, and subscribe for more narratives that delve into the complexities of human relationships. Your support means everything to me and motivates me to keep sharing. Thank you for listening. And remember, you are not alone.